Hello, everybody. Just want to make sure the mic is working here. Hang on one second, guys. Thanks for your patience. Appreciate it. Great. Thank you, Andreas. Appreciate the feedback. If I can get a couple more people just to notify me that everything's working there, just want to make sure. Awesome. Thanks, Sergey. Okay, let's go ahead and get started, guys. So today's webinar presentation, first and foremost, welcome everybody to today's webinar with AMP Global. My name is Johnny Keck, and we thank you for attending. We definitely appreciate your valuable time and taking the opportunity. Okay, so I got Sergey, Andres, and Seth saying they can hear me. Jens, you can't hear me, it looks like. So I got 3 that can hear me, and then Jens at the moment cannot hear me. I'm not sure if maybe there's an audio setting that you might have to adjust on your side, Jens. Okay, Bern can hear me. Perfect. Okay, so yeah, Jens, it might be an audio setting that you might have to adjust, perhaps. No audio. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, usually there'll be like a look for a settings button that you perhaps have within the app itself, and see if maybe you can adjust the audio settings. I'm not sure if there's an audio setting that you have to adjust or increase. Hang on one second. What about the screen share? Can you guys see the screen share? Okay. So Bern was able to provide some feedback there in the middle of the screen. There's a little button nearly invisible in the middle of the chart. Okay, great. Appreciate the feedback. Thank you. Okay, great. Okay, guys. So it looks like majority of the attendees here are able to see my screen as well as hear my audio. So if you don't have audio, try using Bern's recommendation on the screen. There's a little button, as you mentioned, it's nearly invisible. Just click in the middle of the chart. You should be able to adjust the settings there. But since we're about 4 minutes past start time, I want to go ahead and get started. So let's go ahead and move forward, okay? So as I mentioned, first and foremost, thank you very much for your time and taking the opportunity to attend today's event. We're going to go ahead and present how to get started with MetaTrader 5's all-in-one trading account. Now, what exactly does all-in-one account mean? Well, in short, this typically means that you can trade true exchange-traded futures, Forex, CFDs, and cryptos, all from the same trading account with AMP Global. Traditionally, from my experience with most brokerage firms, they'll usually have separate accounts for different markets that you can trade. So for example, you would have an account specifically for futures trading, another account specific to Forex and CFDs, for instance, which essentially means that your funds are in separate accounts for trading each one of those different markets. So basically, your funds are going to be separated for each asset class that you trade. In that case, using our all-in-one MetaTrader 5 software, you're going to be able to trade all those different asset classes from one account. Now, another thing also is when I say true exchange-traded futures, this typically means the actual futures contract that trades directly on regulated exchanges. For example, probably many of you are very familiar with the mini S&P 500. a very popular index futures contract that trades on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Oftentimes you'll see with different brokerage firms overseas, they'll be advertising a mini S&P 500 product, but in most cases, this is usually either a spread betting product, which is pretty common in the UK, or simply just CFDs on futures, which are not true regulated exchange traded futures that actually trade on the actual exchange itself. Some of us in the industry call it basically fake futures. So again, the importance and emphasis that we want to make in this webinar is using our MetaTrader 5 all-in-one account is in fact that you are trading true exchange traded futures along with Forex, CFDs, and cryptos, all from a single trading account using a single platform. Simplicity is always nice. Convenience is always a benefit for us as human beings. So we're definitely happy to be able to demonstrate that you have the ability to trade all these markets from a single account with AMP Global. So that's a little introduction there. Let's go ahead and get right into the webinar. But before we start, I want to go ahead and show you where to go to sign up for a demo if you haven't already done so. It's definitely recommended, if you want to give the software that we're going to demonstrate today, if you want to give it a test drive and essentially see what you can do with our all-in-one MetaTrader 5 platform. You're going to want to go to www.ampglobal.com, which is the homepage of our website, which I'll show you in a second here. All right, and then you can see this is our homepage, and then you're going to see right here in the top right corner, Open Demo Account. Okay, so when you click on Open Demo Account, it's going to take you to a registration page, as you can see here. And all you need to do at this point is just basically fill out your first name, your last name, select your country, enter your phone number, and just make sure that you hit the download button after you complete the CAPTCHA. After you do that, it's going to take you to a download page where it's going to offer you different downloads for different versions of the software, whether you're going to download it onto a Windows operating system or if you want to be able to use it on the app. The one thing that's nice about MetaTrader 5, it's practically compatible with almost any device, whether it's a web-based application, whether you want to install it on Windows. Now, it is possible to install MetaTrader 5 on a Macintosh operating system. It's just you have to be familiar with Play on Mac plugin, also known as Wine. It's not the easiest configuration. I've done it a few times, but it is actually possible to install the MetaTrader 5 executable file for Windows onto a Macintosh operating system if you're familiar with Play on Mac. Okay, Andreas. Stream was able to connect due to a network error. Make sure your connection isn't blocked by our firewall. I don't know if maybe, I'm not sure if you're working with a wireless internet connection. I don't know if you have the possibility to hardwire your connection. I don't know if that would help. In that case, I'm not sure what the issue is. It seems to be possibly local to your computer, as other individuals in the webinar are able to hear me loud and clear as well as see my screen. So I don't think it's something on the webinar host end, in my opinion. But going back to registering for the webinar, make sure again you go to www.ampglobal.com. Just make sure to click the request demo button on the top right corner, fill out this request page as I shown just a moment ago, and you'll be well on your way in looking at the software. All right, so let's go ahead and start with first kind of giving you a general overview of the workspace in regards to what to expect when you first log into the platform. Okay, so right now, as you can see, I have 6 charts open. I have pretty much this is what the MetaTrader 5 platform is going to look like. Let's go ahead and start from the top for just a second and kind of show you a couple things. The one thing that you're going to see when you first download the platform and install it is you're going to see this screen, which I'm going to show you in a second. This is the prompt that's going to ask you to set the demo software up so you can connect to the actual servers that AMP Global provides for the MetaTrader 5 software. So by default, when you install the installer, it should automatically place this AMP Global LTD server under the Find Broker section. And all you need to do is just highlight it and just hit Next. All right, in this case, you're going to see a couple options. You'll see open a demo account to trade virtual money without risk. And then in that case, that's what you're going to want to select in order for you to create the demo account. Now, of course, if you're logging into a live account, if you have an account already open and funded and ready to go with AMP Global, you should have received a login from us with a MetaTrader 5 platform login and a password So if that's the case, if you're trying to log into a live account, select this option here where it says connect with an existing trade account, and just hit the drop-down menu and change the server to live, and just make sure you enter the login and password that was assigned to you, and you'll be able to log into your live account instead. Since today we're going to demonstrate a demo account, we're going to go ahead and select open a demo account to trade virtual money without risk. Now, I've already done that, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit next for now and just show you the next page, but I won't go forward with the actual registration since I already have a demo account connected. But just make sure that you fill out all this information. A lot of it is self-explanatory, pretty straightforward. You should be able to fill out your first name, your last name, for example, your email, phone number, and whatnot. And then you can also choose what balance that you want to enable for the demo account. So if I want to do 100,000, for example, I can select 100,000, and you can also choose your leverage. All right, and then once you do that, just make sure you agree to the terms and conditions. Just hit next, and it's going to automatically generate a username and password and automatically connect you to the demo server. And at that point, your screen is going to look exactly how my screen looks at this very moment. Okay, so another thing I want to point out as well, a very common question that we get at the help desk is a lot of times customers are using MetaTrader 5 on their desktop computers, and they want to be able to log into the same demo account on their cell phone, for example, their iPhone, Android, or iPad or tablet, but they want to be able to use the same credentials that they used on their desktop so everything's in sync. And the question is, where do I get my username and password, just in case you forgot to write it down? The answer to the question is, at the bottom here in your toolbox window, there's a mailbox button here. And if you click on it, most cases, the most recent email, you'll see a new account registration. So if you actually double click that email, it'll bring it up and it'll look just like this. And you'll see your login and password. All right, investor, don't worry about that. It's more this login and password that you're going to need. And then you can go ahead and use those credentials to connect it to your Android device or whichever device that you want to use outside of your main computer. So therefore, you can use the same demo credentials to connect to. All right, so starting from the top, guys, we have the basic menu option from File, View, Insert, Chart, Tools, Window, and Help. Just like any other platform, these are just basic mechanics and different ways to access different functions of the software. However, one thing that I want to point out that's really nice about MetaTrader 5, AMP Global is a global brand. We're based out of Europe, and we have a lot of international customers. But MetaTrader 5 also, was traditionally a Forex platform before AMP Global was able to provide exchange-traded futures on the software. But we have a lot of customers from all walks of life around the world using MetaTrader 5. So if English, for example, is not your first language or your primary language, you can select on View, and within the context menu, you'll have the languages option here. And now you have the ability to choose all the different languages that you want to apply. So of course, for today's demonstration, we're going to use English as the example, as you can see. But it's very simple. Just locate the language that you want to use, select that language. MetaTrader 5 is going to prompt you to restart the software. And once you restart the software, it's going to automatically translate the entire platform into that language that you choose. So that's a really nice feature that I like, because most trading platforms don't necessarily have a language translator tool built into the software. In most cases, from my experience, when helping customers out, a lot of times they have to convert their operating system to their preferred language. So when they're using a software like MetaTrader 5, the language is translated. But in this case, MetaTrader 5 has built in a language translation tool within the software itself. So again, it's going to View. Within the context menu, you click on Languages, and just be sure to select the language of choice. Restart MetaTrader 5, and then you're going to be able to see the platform translated into the language of your choice. The next option, next thing you see here is a toolbar. So a toolbar is really a simplified way of accessing different functions of the software. You'll find out as we progress through the webinar that there are different ways to access different features of the MetaTrader 5 software. You can open up a DOM from the toolbar if you wish. You can create a chart. You can create a new order. You can do that from the Market Watch as well. So the toolbar, kind of think of it as a shortcut to access certain functions of the software. So for example, if I were to hit new order here, you could see that it easily brings up an order ticket, but there's other ways to do it as well. If I could just right click and go new order here, that does it. So again, it's just a different way to access different functions of the software, which these toolbars can be customizable. So a couple things I want to show you. there are 3 different toolbars. And how you define what toolbars are available to you is when you right-click within the toolbar itself, you'll notice that there are 3 options. Now, there's auto arrange and customize. These are just basically ways to arrange the toolbar and then customize the toolbar. But actual toolbars themselves, they're standard, line studies, and timeframes. Now, a little exercise that I've done to help me get a better understanding of what the toolbars are. So if you're wondering what the standard toolbar is, if I uncheck standard here, notice now that you can see the majority of the buttons went away. And the only ones remaining at this very moment are the timeframes toolbar, which is pretty obvious because you can see here the timeframes. And then up here, you have the line studies toolbar, which is basically drawing tools. So if I reapply the standard toolbar, you can see now that these buttons reappear. So that gives you identification, letting you know that that's the standard toolbar. So if I, for example, were to uncheck or remove or disable the timeframes toolbar, you can see now that timeframes toolbar goes away. Okay, so this is me demonstrating the available toolbars that are available for you to use within MetaTrader 5 and showing you how to either enable them or disable them. For me, my personal preference, I prefer to have all 3 of them enabled. I'm a big fan of the toolbar. You can do a lot of things very easily from the toolbar, and you can also customize the toolbar. So let's just say, for example, if I want to add a different time frame within my time frame toolbar. So here's another thing that I want to mention that's important. Whatever toolbar that you want to customize, you have to make sure that you right-click with your mouse within the section of that toolbar. So if I right-click here and I select Customize, notice it's giving me the option to customize the toolbar for the timeframes. You can see that the only options that I have available to customize are the timeframes. Okay, so now I can choose a time frame that's not listed at the moment within the time frame toolbar. So let's just say, for example, 3 minutes. I can highlight it, hit Insert, and now you can see that the 3-minute interval has been added into the time frame toolbar, as you can see. I can rearrange the order of appearance of the time frame itself by highlighting. I can either move it down, so you can see. I'll move it down to the end of the list just for demonstration purposes. See how it's at the end there, or if I can move it up. As you can see, it's moving backwards. So as you can see, and now I can click close, and now you can see the time frame has been applied. Okay, so again, I repeat, to make any changes to add or remove functions within the toolbar, you have to make sure that you right-click within the region of that specific toolbar section in order for you to customize that section. So if I want to, let's say, customize the standard toolbar section, right-click within the standard toolbar section, hit Customize, and now notice it's no longer the options for timeframes. It's the options for standard toolbar. So if I can go ahead and add an indicators quick button, for example, by highlighting indicators, hit Insert. Same concept. So if I hit Insert, now you can see the buttons there. But if I want to move that button, let's say maybe further back, I highlight and hit up, and just keep a look at that icon there. You can see as I'm clicking up, it's going to move backwards, as you can see. All right, so it's all personal preference on how you want to build it out. The main thing is understanding where to go to enable, disable toolbars, as well as making changes to the toolbar. And again, that's right-clicking within the section of the toolbar itself and go to customize that specific toolbar. Or if you don't want the toolbar at all, just right-click and just either uncheck or just enable whichever toolbar that you wish to see or wish to do not see. And that's pretty much how you use toolbars. All right, and moving down to the middle here, you have the Market Watch window, and this is kind of more of a general overview of what you see when you first log into MetaTrader 5. What we've done is we've built a pre-built workspace. So oftentimes, from my experience, when you sign up for a demo using other platforms, sometimes there's no pre-built workspace. So pre-built workspace basically means that there's a workspace that we built for you, not necessarily meaning that's perfect for you, but we at least want to give you a foundation to work off. So when you log into the software, you're not looking at a blank screen and wondering where to go to create a chart. So in this case, this is what the pre-built workspace looks like when you first log into it, just as I have right now. So you have 6 charts, you have a Market Watch window created, you have a Navigator window here, and you have a Toolbox window down here. We'll show you as we progress through the webinar, how to make changes and how to customize your workspace based on your liking, but this is how it's going to look when you first log in. The Market Watch window, I like to consider this area a centralized location. This is really where you're going to add or remove any markets that you wish to trade within your MetaTrader 5 software. So again, as I mentioned in the introduction to the webinar, exchange traded futures, you have Forex, CFDs, cryptos on CFDs, and so forth that you can add within this Market Watch window. And that's going to be required for you to add that symbol within the Market Watch window in order for you to actually trade the symbol, because you're going to use the Market Watch to create a new order, chart window, tick charts, depth of market. So you can see there's a variety of things that you can create from the Market Watch window once you have that symbol added within the Market Watch window itself. We're going to go ahead and backtrack to that in just a moment, but that's typically what the Market Watch window will do. And also it allows you to see different pieces of information such as bid, ask, last trade price, bid, etc., spread, and we'll go ahead and show you how to add those columns as well once we backtrack to the Market Watch section. Then you have your charts that are here in the middle of the screen. We're going to cover how to use the charts. The Navigator window is a section where you're going to be able to add indicators, expert advisors that you've imported into MetaTrader 5. If you know how to program using the proprietary language of MetaTrader 5, which is known as Expert Advisors EA, so those of you are probably familiar with that. You can create your own indicators, automated trading algorithms, scripts, and whatnot, and you can access those tools and items and products from your Navigator window once you've created them and put them into MetaTrader 5. Of course, MetaTrader 5 has its own default list of indicators that they provide for you, as you can see here, and they're categorized by different groups. So you can see trend category group, oscillators, volumes, Bill Williams, etc. Again, we'll backtrack to that and we'll show you how to use the Navigator window. Again, this is just a general overview of what to expect when you first log in. And then last but not least, you have at the bottom the toolbox window. So the toolbox window gives you a variety of different things that you can do. You can see your positions, your working orders, what's going on in terms of cash balance in your account, total equity, available free margin. You can see your exposure. You can see your trade history, news. At this moment, there's no news in there at this moment. The mailbox I mentioned earlier. So again, if you're looking to retrieve your demo credentials that were created when you created your demo account, you can access the demo credentials from this new account registration email here just by double clicking the email, and this is what it looks like. All right, and then you have your calendar, company, and a lot of these tabs are kind of more just complementary items that are provided for you when using MetaTrader 5. Towards the end of the webinar, we'll go ahead and cover the market and the code base, which is a really cool tool that's provided by MetaTrader 5. MetaTrader 5, the one thing that I like about MetaTrader 5 is it's a very big community. You know, you have a huge community of MetaTrader 5 traders that interact with one another. But not only that, you have a lot of developers and programmers that are familiar with the EA proprietary language, expert advisors. And a lot of these guys are just out there creating indicators and scripts and expert advisors, and they're uploading them for free to use within the MetaTrader 5 software. So users like yourself can go in there and actually download those tools for free and test them out. And you can go onto their profile page on mql5.com, and you can see who the publisher was, if anybody else has been using that indicator, comments and feedback that they provided for that indicator. It's almost like a social media function that was built into the software, which is really cool. And we'll show you how to access those indicators and code-based tools towards the end of the webinar presentation. All right, so now we're going to actually get into the meats and the nuts and bolts of the actual presentation itself. One thing that I want to point out that's very important before we begin, in my opinion, it's very important to have an understanding of what environment that you're connected to when using MetaTrader 5. The one thing that you don't want to do is accidentally place trades on your live account thinking the entire time you were connected to a demo account. Believe it or not, in my experience in my career, I've seen that happen a few times, and a lot of times it was often just due to lack of understanding of knowledge of understanding within the platform itself what server you're connected to. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that right now because I feel that's very important. So the first thing you're going to want to take a look at when you're connected to MetaTrader 5, on the very top of the platform, you'll see right here in the toolbar, the header title section, you can see it's pretty obvious. It tells you what server you're connected to. So in this case, it's saying AMT Global EU/demo and then demo account. So it's pretty evident that you're connected to a demo account. Another thing you can check as well is on the bottom here, you can see that there's a balance that's displayed. So if you have a live account, you should know how much money you have in your trading account. So obviously, if you don't have $99,799, as I do here, you know that's a demo account. But in most cases, looking at the top here and seeing what server you're connected to, and then to the left of it, it'll normally show your demo account number, or it's going to show your live account number if you're connected to the live account. So if you're connected to a live account, it's not going to show the demo server. It's going to show your live server instead. Now, if you're wondering what that live server looks like, if you go to File and then log in the trade account, the live server is AMP Global EU/live. All right, so that's the server that will be displayed at the top here if you were connected to your live account. And then to the left, it's most likely going to show your MetaTrader 5 platform login that's assigned to you from AMP Global. AMP Global, if you already have an account with us, you'll notice that there's actual trading account numbers and there's a MetaTrader 5 platform login, which the MetaTrader 5 platform login is technically not the account number. It's just the login for MetaTrader 5. From my understanding, for the live accounts, you should see your MetaTrader 5 platform login to the left of the server that you're connected to. Of course, it's going to show the live server if you're connected to a live account. Okay, so that's important. Just making sure that, I want to make sure I demonstrate where to go to have an understanding of what server you're connected to. Try to make a habit of looking up here so you know what you're connected to. One thing I will mention is you won't be able to connect to demo and live account at the same time. So you'd have to swap back and forth between both environments to switch between demo and live, or live to demo, vice versa. And normally what happens is when you connect to both environments, so right now I'm connected to a demo account. Let's pretend that I have a live account, and if I connected to my live account in the past, then if you go into your navigator window here and click on the accounts menu here, you'll actually see that your live account and your demo account will be listed. So right now I've only connected to a demo account. So that's why the demo account number is only displayed at this moment, not the live account. But let's just pretend again, I was logged into a live account prior to me doing this webinar. You would see the live account also listed here. So what you can do is you can right click on the account that you wish to log into and just select log in to trading account, and it's going to log you in automatically to that account that you have selected. So again, within the navigator window, you select accounts. If you have a demo account that you've logged into before and a live account that you've logged into before, you're going to see both accounts listed under the accounts section, and just make sure you highlight which account that you wish to log into, right click and select log in the trade account, and you'll be able to log in. And then once you're connected, again, try to make a habit of taking a look at the top section here to get an understanding of what you're connected to, whether it's the demo server or the live server. So that will give you a confirmation exactly what you're connected to. Okay, so let's move on to the market watch. This is a pretty important element of MetaTrader 5, and it's going to be very important because, as I mentioned, the emphasis here is all-in-one trading platform using MetaTrader 5. The importance of having the ability to trade exchange-traded futures, Forex, CFDs, and cryptos all from a single account. So I'm going to go ahead and give you a demonstration on how to add some symbols into the market watch, and as well as removing symbols from the market watch, because that's the first thing that you're probably going to want to do when you get into the platform. Is you want to have an understanding first of what am I interested in trading? Do I want to trade just specifically exchange-traded futures? So therefore, maybe you might want to remove a bunch of these symbols out of there that you have no use for trading. Maybe you don't have an interest in trading the S&P crypto, for example, or maybe you don't, or better yet, CFD, or you don't have an interest in trading currency pairs or Forex, or you don't have an interest in trading futures. Whatever the case may be, the first thing that I would recommend doing is getting your market watch window open and getting in there and organizing it. So remove what you don't want. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that if you don't trade something that you don't want it in there. So maybe you just want to look at it, look at the pricing, for example. But the main thing is understanding how to remove symbols and add symbols. Now, if for whatever reason, if your market watch window is not there, which normally it will be when you first log into the software, because we've already pre-built that into the workspace. But let's say let's say you accidentally closed it, for example. So if I close it accidentally, such as this, to get it back up, what you're going to want to do is select View, and just go ahead and select Market Watch. And then when you do that, you'll see that it'll be reapplied onto the screen, as you can see. Okay, so again, View, Market Watch to actually open up the Market Watch window. Okay, so now the next step is, okay, you want to get in there and identify what markets that you want to add and what markets do you want to remove. So we have a combination and variety of a bunch of different markets. These are exchange traded futures that you see here with the @ sign. Now I will explain what that @ sign means in just a moment. But I don't want to jump too far ahead. Then you have Forex pairs, as you can see. And then we threw in some, looks like cryptos. And then you have some CFDs in the mix as well. Okay, so that's a CFD, Tesla right there. All right, this is an exchange traded futures euro currency contract. So why don't we do this? Let's just go with the 6 charts that we currently have on the screen. And we have, this is the mini S&P exchange traded futures contract that trades on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. This is crude oil. That's the euro currency. Actually, these are all futures contracts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to add a symbol. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to actually add the exchange traded futures mini S&P 500. Now, continuous contracts, the @ symbol that you see there, a continuous contract basically means, for those of you that are familiar with trading futures, you know that the futures contracts have contract months that are traded. So right now we're currently trading the December contract for the mini S&P 500. Next month, second Thursday of December, we're going to be rolling over to March. So there's always rollovers to different contract months. And what happens is when you're looking at, let's say, a normal contract, so if I go EPZ19 here, let me just bring this up to the top. Okay, so notice that's at EP, and then you'll see EPZ19. So this will only allow me to see the historical data for the current contract month, which is December, EPZ19, right? Now, if I want to be able to see historical data for beyond that, you know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, whatever the case may be, then you're going to have to use a continuous contract, because continuous contract is going to merge all the prior to expiries into the front contract month. So that gives you the ability to see the entire history of the contract itself. So if I repeat, if you're looking at the regular symbol here, which is a non-continuous symbol, you're only going to be able to see the historical data from the time when that contract pretty much started actively trading, which is typically 90 days. In this case, for the mini S&P 500, since we normally roll over every 3 months. Now, if you go at EP, that allows you to see pretty much since inception, all the way back to 1997, I believe. So that's going to be nice. That's important for you to understand that if you want to see more history on the charts, make sure you're looking at continuous contract symbols, which start with the @ sign, like an email address. And again, you just add the symbol by scrolling down to the bottom of your Market Watch window. And if you notice here, there's a caption that says click to add. So when you left click in there with your mouse, it will have a blinking cursor, and then you'll be able to type in @ sign, and now you can type in whatever symbol root that you wish to add. So if it's EP, for example, you can add the EP, or maybe you want to add the mini NASDAQ, which is ENQ. So you can see that once you see it, just hit enter on your keyboard to actually add it. And I already had it added, so therefore it was already there. Okay, so that's continuous contract. So as I just demonstrated, that's pretty much how you add symbols and then how you remove them. So let's just say I'm going to do this real quick. I'm going to remove this EPZ19 by right-clicking on it. And then within the context menu, you'll see an option hide. Okay, so if I select hide, watch, you'll notice that symbol now goes away. So that's how you remove this symbol. Okay, to re-add it, scroll down back to the bottom of the Market Watch window. You're looking for this caption here, click the add. You want to left click with your mouse. You see the blinking cursor. Now you can type in EPZ19. Normally what will happen is the auto filter results will populate, letting you know that, okay, we see what you're trying to add. So you can just left click. Now when you left click on it, it doesn't actually add it right away. So you have to left click and then hit enter on your keyboard to actually add the symbol within the Market Watch window itself. Now that you have it added, now if you want to move the position of the new added symbol within your Market Watch, just left click on the symbol, and you can, while holding down the left click, just drag it up, as you can see I've done, and that allows you to rearrange the location of the symbol that you just added within the Market Watch window. Okay, so again, recap. To add the symbol, scroll down to the bottom of the Market Watch window, click to add, type in the symbol, hit enter on your keyboard to add it. To remove it, right click and select hide, and that will allow you to remove the symbol. One note to make, you can't remove symbols from the market watch if that symbol is being used within your workspace. What I mean, here's a demonstration. You can see that this chart at this moment on the top left corner, it's a continuous mini S&P 500 contract. It's currently populated as a chart within my workspace. So if I try to hide it, notice that that hide button is inactive, it's disabled. That's because it's within the workspace right now. So if I close it out, notice now it becomes active, you see? So again, I repeat, you cannot remove the symbol if the symbol is being used within your workspace. So as I was able to remove the symbol from the workspace itself, because there was a chart created, now the hide function becomes active, and now you can see that I can remove it. I'm gonna go back down, one more demonstration on how to add it. Add EP, now it's back on there, and now I can create a chart window, and we're pretty much back to where we were. All right, so let's go ahead and move this back to the top of the list. And that's how you add and remove symbols within the Market Watch. So let's go over a couple other items here. If you right click within the Market Watch window, you'll see within the context menu, there's different options. If you go to this column section down here at the bottom, you have different options that you can choose in terms of what information you want displayed within the Market Watch window. So for example, if I want the last to be displayed, I can select last. Now you can see the last. By default, it's just bid and ask, but you can definitely add more columns if you want to see the high and the low, for example. Now, of course, the navigator, or better yet, the Market Watch window, if it's too small, you can always resize these windows, just like any other window. Just make sure you move your mouse cursor on the borderline of the Market Watch window itself, and what you're looking for is your arrow, your mouse cursor, to turn into a double-sided arrow, as you can see there. And now I can just left-click and drag to the right, and I can make that wider. Or I can do it on the bottom here. I can make it longer. Or if you don't want the Market Watch window to be attached within your workspace altogether, let's just say, for example, you have a multi-monitor setup, and you want to be able to move that Market Watch window onto a different monitor screen, you can detach the Market Watch window by left-clicking on the top header title here and just snap it out. And now you can see that it's a separate window. So now if you have a multi-monitor, you can move this window, Market Watch window that is, onto a different screen. It's an actual detached window as we speak now. Now, if I want to snap it back into place, it's a little tricky, but it takes a little practice. But the main thing to understand how to snap it back into place is the visuals. So what I mean by that is, watch what happens when I look at I'm holding down my left click right now as I'm dragging the window around, but I haven't released the left click. But watch what happens when I move it. See how that window kind of changes shape? So from my experience, when it changes to a smaller shape, a smaller square, as you can see right now, if I release the left click, now I was able to snap it back into the workspace, but I didn't snap into the proper location. So let's go ahead and move it more towards the left here. And it does take a little practice. As you can see now, it kind of brought it below my navigator window. So now I'm going to have to kind of move it up. So, or we could just do this. We could probably just move this navigator window down here, and there you go. All right, so it does take a little practice, but once you kind of get the hang of it, you'll have an understanding of how it works, and it should be very straightforward on how to snap your windows into place and how to snap them out of place so you can move them onto different monitors if you have a multi-monitor setup. All right, so now going back to the Market Watch in terms of columns, you had the high and the low. You can see volume, spread, time, and source. Just for now, I'm going to go ahead and keep these particular columns displayed. Now, one thing that you can't do is you cannot organize the way that the columns are displayed. So if you right-click and go to columns, pretty much you can see last, high, low, volume. Now, maybe, I could be wrong. Let me just double-check something. I'm wondering if I unselect last and high, low, let's just say, for example, if I go columns and I do high, low first. Okay, so now let me see if I do last. I'm just curious if it's going to put the last column after the low column. Okay, so it does not. So the reason why I just did that exercise was in order here, the bid and ask column you can't remove. It's going to be there by default. But what you can add is last, pretty much in order from top to bottom. Here, this way, last, high, low, volume. So as you add these columns, they're going to be in place of how they're in order here. So you can see that even though I only had the high, low column enabled and not last, once I enabled the last column, it put the last column before high and low. So it's going to be in this order, as you can see. And then you can also resize the columns if you want to make them wider. Again, just by left clicking and just resize left or right. But again, you cannot arrange the order. Like, you can't put the bid and the ask in a different column in regards to a different location, unfortunately. Another thing as well from the Market Watch window, as I mentioned earlier, this is kind of a centralized area where you're going to be doing a lot of different things. So let's just say that I want to create an order ticket for the exchange traded futures mini S&P 500 contract. So the first thing you're going to want to do is highlight the symbol within the Market Watch. This is what I mean by highlight, as you can see. Right click, and then you can select new order. All right, so this allows you to open up an order ticket. And we'll cover how to place orders in just a second. We're going to move on to that next. And then you can also create a DOM window. This is what the DOM window looks like, also known as depth of market. We'll show you how to place trades off the DOM in a moment as well. You can also create a chart window as well. Right, so as you can see here. So now I originally had 5 charts open, or 4 charts open. Now I have 5. I'll go ahead and close that one out. All right, so you have new order chart window. Tick chart is just more of it's not a traditional tick chart, as most of you may know. It's kind of just a regular, as you can see here, you can see this trades coming in. It's a simplified tick chart that's actually built within the Market Watch window, and it's this last tab that you see here called ticks. All right, and then pretty much the rest here, I won't go into too much detail. I don't want to, progress too much, make the webinar too long, as I want to start focusing on the more important things like placing orders. In fact, let's demonstrate one more thing in the Market Watch window, and let's move on to how to place orders off the order ticket window, which is this new order section here. But one thing that I want to point out that's pretty important is a lot of you are going to wonder, what are the symbols for specific, markets that you wish to trade, whether it's CFDs or cryptos or exchange traded futures and whatnot. What I would recommend doing is going to www.ampglobal.com. And let me just go to the home page real quick. Hang on. And on the home page, you're going to see here Forex and CFDs. And you can click this little section that says trading hours and contract specifications. And just give it a couple seconds. It's going to load up. And you're going to see all the different Forex pairs, CFDs, and cryptos that you can trade with AMP Global in this list. And you'll see the symbol section here, the column. And this symbol, the symbol that you see here, is exactly the same exact symbol within MetaTrader 5. So the reason why I point this out is because if you want to add a specific market that's not listed within your Market Watch, but you're not sure what the symbol is, you can go here as a reference to find out what that symbol is. So the Forex pairs are pretty obvious, but let me kind of go to something that's not so obvious. Here we go, like Bitcoin Cash versus USD, for example. You can see the symbol is XBN USD. So if I go to my platform in the Market Watch window, I think I already added that one in already. Let me see, I double check. There it is right there. So let me just hide it and then go back to the website. So again, you go here, you look for the symbol. So there's the case. You can copy it if you wish, or just remember it, whatever is easier for you. Scroll down to the bottom and then just hit enter, and there you go. See, so the symbol is going to be exactly the same. And so again, www.ampglobal.com. Click on the menu option Forex and CFDs, and then you'll see trading hours and contract specifications. And this is going to give you a nice understanding of what the symbols are that you can add within MetaTrader 5 for Forex pairs, CFDs, and cryptos. All right, so now let's go to how to place orders using MetaTrader 5. There's multiple ways of doing it. We're going to demonstrate three different ways. You can do it off an order ticket, do it off a DOM, which is depth of market, and you can also trade directly off the chart. All right, so bear with me one second. So the first thing you're going to want to identify first is what market do you want to execute trades for? So since we've been using the example of the exchange traded futures mini S&P 500, let's go ahead and use that as an example for now. And also there's micro contracts as well, which is really nice. The micro contracts are 1/10 the size of the mini contracts. They were released earlier this year in May. Really nice. Pretty much day trade margins are $40 per contract, which is really cool. So you can pretty much get into the game with 40 bucks if you wanted to in terms of trading a micro contract on the micro S&P. The symbol for the micro is the MES contract. That's a continuous contract for MES at the top there. So MES meaning micro, E, mini S&P. All right, but for now, we're going to use the mini S&P 500 as today's example. So I'm going to right click, first highlight the symbol, right click on the symbol, and then go to new order. What's going to happen is this button's going to populate, or better yet, this window. And let's go over some of the things that we see. So first, it's going to give you the description of the symbol that you're going to trade, which you obviously want to make it, take a look at that and make sure you're looking at the right market. Because you can see within the market watch window, it kind of just gives you the abbreviation of the symbol. But once you open it and populate an order ticket for it, it'll give you the full description of the symbol. So this is important because maybe you don't want to trade a mini contract. You were looking to trade a micro instead. But you can see that it says E-mini S&P 500 here, not micro. Versus here, let me actually add MES Z19. So this is me adding a micro contract. Let's move it up to the top for a second. So it's right next to the mini S&P. But notice now when I go to new order, you can see the difference there. You can see that it says micro. All right, so that's important. You want to make sure that you have an understanding of what you're actually trading and making sure that you're trading the true instrument, the correct instrument that you want to trade. Another thing that I highly recommend is make a habit of reading before you place trades, make sure you're trading the right market. Okay, so that's the description. Type, this is order type. There's two types of order execution or types within MetaTrader 5. There's exchange execution and there's pending order. Exchange execution just basically means market order. And then you have pending order. Pending order gives you the ability to place pending orders such as buy limits, sell limits, buy stops, sell stop, buy stop limit, sell stop limit. All right, so pretty straightforward. The main thing is making sure that you choose the correct order type in order for you to place the appropriate order that you're looking to place. All right, so right now we're just going to use exchange execution, also known as market order. Then you have your volume section. Volume represents how many contracts that you wish to trade. So if you're trading exchange traded futures, it's a bit different from Forex and CFDs where you can't trade, like you can't change the lot size of the contract. It's just single contracts in futures. There's no such thing as 0.10, for example. So in this case, 1.00 just means one contract. That's the minimum contract that you can trade in futures. Now, if you're trading Forex, for example, which I'll show you in this here, for example, the Euro USD, this is a Forex pair, you can trade, incremental lot values, right? So if I go to new order, for example, I can scale it down. I can go to 0.10, for example. So essentially, you can create your own lot size. When trading with AMPglobal.com, AMP Global, that is, you can create your own lot size when trading CFDs, Forex, and cryptos, which I'll demonstrate in a moment. But let's just first show you how to use the basic mechanics of placing trades on a mini S&P 500 contract for now. All right, so of course, make sure that you select the amount of contracts that you wish to trade. So we'll just go with a one lot for now. And then now you have the ability to attach a stop loss and take profit order to your position. So what this essentially allows you to do is you can preset how many points or ticks you want your stop loss to be or your take profit to be when you get into a position. So once you get into the position, it's going to automatically apply the stop loss and the take profit target onto your position. So we'll go ahead and do that right now as a basic example. This case, this is the bid and the ask right now for the current market price. So if we get in at the market, we're probably going to get filled around these levels. Since market order, you're normally going to get filled. Usually, if I'm buying, I'm probably going to get filled at the offer price. So let's just say we'll place a sell stop, assuming that we're going to go long at 31.17 1/4. So all you have to do, you can either use the up and down arrows to make these price adjustments, or you can just type in the price manually, whichever is easier for you. For me, I just prefer to use the arrows. And then we'll go 31, let's say 31.2125 for the profit target. Okay, so now I have a stop loss set for 31.17.25, and then I have a take profit at 31.21.25. So this is assuming I'm going long. Of course, if you're going to go short, then those values are going to be different, as the buy stop and the take profit value is going to be different. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and just hit buy market here. So now that I have everything in place, all I got to do is hit this buy button. All right, so now If you notice here down at the bottom in your toolbox window, this is where you're going to be able to identify where you're long from. And then you can see there's my stop loss. It's placed at 3117.25, and there's my take profit at 3121.25. So this is what we call an OCO strategy, which is very important because what happens is if you get stopped out, for example, at 3117.25, it's going to automatically cancel out the 3121.25 take profit order. So this is convenient because you don't necessarily have to be glued to your computer screen 24/7 while you're in the position babysitting it. Although I don't recommend walking away from your computer while in a position for long periods of time, but at least allows you to maybe get up and get a cup of coffee and run an errand here too. But the OCO function is going to allow you where if either one of these orders are filled, it's going to automatically cancel out the other remaining order automatically. OCO stands for order cancels other, and that's exactly what OCO means. Now, one thing that I want to point out that's important to know as well, stop orders are always going to be market orders. So when the market price reaches the 3117.25, it's going to execute a market order to the exchange, and at that point, you're going to get filled. 99% of the time, you'll get filled pretty much instantly. The downside is you could get slippage because it is a market order. So in most cases, you're probably going to pay the spread between the bid and the offer. So just keep in mind that this stop order, just like any stop order, is going to be converted to a market order, and therefore you are subjected to slippage. It could be possible that you can get slipped. Now, the other side of the coin is the take profit order. So again, this is not a true limit order on the exchange. This is actually an MIT order, which what we call a market if touched order. So if the market price reaches your take profit order at 3121.25, again, it is a market order. So you could get slipped on that 3121.25. So just that's the reason why I'm bringing this up, because sometimes you'll see right here on the right side column, like right now I'm currently making $12.50 on the trade. You know, if you want to try to close out the trade and hoping that, you know, at 3121.25, it's going to be exactly what you're hoping to get. Just keep in mind, it's never guaranteed that you're going to get filled at that price because it's an MIT order. It's not a true limit order. Limit orders, you can only get filled at your price or better, but with MIT orders, it's a market order, so you could get slipped. And in most cases, you're going to pay the spread between the bid and the offer. You'll see that right here, the mini S&P 500, the spread right now is a quarter, one tick, which is usually the case. All right, now, unfortunately, at the moment, there's no way to use a straight true limit order using the OCO function with the MetaTrader 5. The take profit order is defaulted to MIT orders. But that does not mean that you can't place a true limit order. In fact, let's go ahead and show you how to do that right now. Before we do that, here at the bottom, this is where you're going to see again where your position is. So you can see in the toolbox window from the trade menu tab, this is the symbol that you executed a trade for. You can see EPZ19. That's the ticket number, timestamp, transaction type, whether it was a buy or sell. So if it says buy, you're long. If it says sell, you're short. How many contracts? You can see at the one lot. What price you're long or short from. So in this case, I'm long from 3118.50. There's my sell stop and my take profit. Okay, so now I can go ahead and close this position out here. This is the current price of the market right now. Swap not applicable for futures trading. It's more for Forex. And then this is your open P&L. Open P&L means open profit and loss. It's just represented by the profit column. That's how much you're making or losing on the trade that you're in right now. If I hit this little X here, I like to think of that as the bail button. Just basically get me out of the position while at the same time canceling the stop loss here and the take profit order at the same time. So it's almost like a single click. It is a single click. If I click it, now I'm out of the position, and now you can see I'm back to flat, no working orders. All right, so again, that's a quick demo on how to place trades off the market watch window using the new order ticket function. All right, exchange execution being market order. Now, as I mentioned just a moment ago, let's say, for example, you're not a fan of the MIT market at touch profit target order. You'd rather use a true limit order where you can only get filled at your price or better. So if that's the case, you probably don't want to set perhaps well, you could set a stop loss, because either stop loss is always going to function as a market order. So that doesn't change. So you could just, for example, attach a stop loss order just by itself with no take profit. So for example, if I go 3116, and I'll just place a market order here for a second. Okay, you can see that I'm long from 3119.25, or better yet, yeah, that's right. Now you can see the stop loss 31.16, but notice there's no take profit. So now what I can do is I can go back to highlighting the symbol within the market watch, go to new order. Now what I can do is I can change this to pending order, and I can go ahead and place a true sell limit order instead. All right, so you always obviously want to make sure that the contract volume matches what your position is in this case, and then you can just go ahead and select the price that you wish to place that sell limit at. So since we're long, let's say at 31.1925, we'll just keep the theme consistent, 31.21 and a quarter, let's say. All right, and then you have the option to choose whether you want this to be a good till cancel order or just a day order. Good till cancel means that the order will work through the close. When the market closes, and it'll always work until you actually cancel out the order. But since, from my experience, the majority of our traders are day traders, so we'll just keep the expiration to today. What that means, if the order isn't filled by the time the market closes, the order automatically becomes canceled. All right, so we're going to go ahead and just place the order now. And now you can see that I have a true sell limit order working at 31.21 and a quarter. When I say true limit order, this means that this order is on the exchange, and this order can only get filled at this price or better. All right, so you can't get slipped because it's a regular limit order. The downside to the example that I just demonstrated right now is you don't have an OCO in effect. So let's say if you get stopped out at 31.16, this sell limit is still going to be working. So you got to make sure that you go and cancel it out so you don't accidentally get filled on this limit order. That could be a really bad scenario because now you're short, even though you thought you were flat because maybe you walked away from the computer, you got stopped out, and the market came and hit the sell limit order, and now you're short, and you're actually in the position and you don't even know it. So that is the inconvenience of using, if you're going to use it in this manner that I've demonstrated, you're not going to have the OCO factor. So it's kind of personal preference on, what you want to do. Do you want to use the OCO bracket order fully with the stop loss and take profit? Or if you're not a fan of the MIT take profit market order, then you can just use a regular limit order, again, by going to the order ticket, change this order type to pending order, and just choose the order from this drop-down menu and just set your parameters accordingly. All right, another thing too to let you know as well, if you notice that the sell limit order is placed here at the bottom below the account balance section here. If you notice here, the stop loss is up here. So whenever you see a stop loss and take profit here, that's basically an OCO strategy. But when you see the order separated, as you can see here down at the bottom, that's going to be a non-OCO order, and you can see that's a regular limit order as well. All right, so let's go ahead and just cancel out these trades. Here's a good example. I'm going to go ahead and close this trade out right now from the toolbox window, and if I remember correctly, this limit order is going to stay there, which is not a good thing. As you can see, we're flat, but now we have that sell limit there. So now you got to go ahead and make sure you cancel it out manually by clicking this little X here on the right side. All right, so let me just show you one more demonstration on the Forex pairs on placing orders, which is kind of cool because I want to show you when I say create your own lot size, you can do it here. So watch, this is 1.00, that's 10,000 euros, but watch if I go down to bare minimum 0.10, watch this. The spread right now looks like it's about 2 ticks. Yeah, it looks like it's 2 tick spread on the euro dollar. So watch if I hit buy market, pretty much pennies. You can see that. See that? Pennies. So it's pretty much micro currencies. But watch what happens. Let me just close this position out here. Now here's an example, me bumping it up to 1.00. So 10,000 euros. Now watch. Dimes. See that? Now watch if I close it out. So essentially you can create any lot amount that you want. From my experience when working with different Forex firms, they're either going to give you, 1K, 10K, 100K, but it doesn't give you the flexibility to actually go in between. So watch, if I go 0.50, you can see 5,000 euros. See that? So that's really cool. You can do that practically with any Forex pair, crypto, CFD. And if you go back to that page that I showed you earlier, it'll actually tell you right here, tick value, right? Or minimum order volume. You can see it here. So you can see which contracts you can trade at bare minimum. So you can see here, this is a 0.10. I think some of these go down all the way to 0.01. Yeah, they see that right here. So some of these cryptos or CFDs, this is actually a crypto, 0.01. All right, so let's go back to the page here. So that's kind of cool. Again, recommending that you kind of take, if you're using a demo account, kind of play around with the different values. And you can see here to the right what that the equivalent is. So I just demonstrated, pennies, dimes, and you can even, if you really want to get aggressive, and really bump it up, you can go 10.00. It's pretty much a standard lot. And now you got dollars. See that? So right off the bat, because you're paying the spread, you're going to be down. That's usually how it is for Forex. But you could see the difference where earlier I went from basically pennies to dimes to dollars, and just by simply adjusting the volume amount here. All right, and the cool thing about MetaTrader 5 that's really nice is what we've done is when I showed you this little chart earlier here, when you're looking at the order minimum volume, it's actually in sync with the platform. So when you go here, you can see that the minimum volume on the Euro USD should be 0.10. So if I hit the down arrow, it should stop at 0.10. Or see how it's 0, and then if I go to the next one up, it's 0.10. Let's just out of curiosity, I want to try the see here, the Bitcoin here. This is Bitcoin, yeah. Bitcoin, there you go. I believe we were able to get down all the way to at 0.01, right? You see that? So pretty much you have a lot of flexibility with all the different markets that you trade. And here's an example of me executing trades. Here I'm going to get into a position on exchange traded futures mini S&P 500. I have a Euro USD trade there, exchange traded futures mini S&P 500 position there. Let's say I want to get into an exchange traded Euro currency contract, which is the futures contract of the Euro USD. Again, as I mentioned earlier with futures contracts, it's different from CFDs and Forex. You can't trade, fractional lot sizes, right? So it's just going to be, the minimum volume is going to be one contract in futures. All right, you can see there I have a long position on an exchange traded futures Euro USD. That's a Forex pair. And if I wanted to get into let's say a Bitcoin contract, let's just place an order here. I'm just kind of firing off random trades. It's more just demonstration showing you that you can get into multiple positions at the same time for different assets. All right, you can see there's a short position there. All right, so I can just, you can see there's multiple positions. So I'll just go ahead and close these positions out for now. And that was just a quick demo on how to execute trades. All right, so that's basically the order ticket, okay? So again, market execution is market order. So that, I noticed that the language is different for the Forex pairs. It says market execution, but for the futures contract, it says exchange execution. And then pending order will allow you to place pending orders such as buy limit, sell limit, buy stop, and so forth. And then you can also attach a stop loss and take profit, as I demonstrated earlier, to these positions here. All right, so that's how you place orders off the order ticket. Let's go ahead and move on to the depth of market. So if I right click on the symbol within the market watch window again, I can select depth of market, and this is what the depth of market looks like. This is a very popular way of placing trades. You have different menu options here at the top. So you have the ability to show tick chart. I personally don't like it because I like to see the full dome. I mean, you could still see the full dome, but I just don't like a whole lot of noise. It's just my preference. If you don't want it, you can disable it by clicking show tick chart. And now you can go ahead and just resize your dome any way you wish. Now, right now, the dome, as you can see it, it's detached from the workspace. So this means that I can move this dome anywhere I want. If I have a multi-monitor display, for example, I can move it onto a different monitor. But if you want to snap the dome into your workspace, you can do that. You can snap it in just by the same way that I showed earlier with the market watch window. You want to left click, and you're looking for that shape, the shape to change. As you can see right there, see how it changed to a smaller box? And now you see how it snaps into the workspace? So now I can kind of have it integrated into my workspace. This might be ideal if maybe you're using a single monitor display. Perhaps if probably not the best idea if you have a multi-monitor setup, but it's all personal preference. The main thing is understanding how to do it. One thing that I do want to show you that's very common. I'm at the help desk, so there's a lot of common inquiries that we get. A lot of times, users of MetaTrader 5 will make this mistake. Watch what I'm going to show you right now. They'll try to snap it out of the workspace, and when they snap it back in, they'll snap it in like that. See how and now it's a funky scale. It doesn't look correct. And I mean, there's no way to really use the dome this way because the scaling of it is improper, right? And the reason why that happens is because when you snapped it back into your workspace, you snapped it on the higher location of the workspace itself. And so therefore it put it on the top here. So what you're going to have to do is left click the header title again. By holding down the left click, you're going to have to snap it back out, and then you're going to have to snap it back in. And it just, like I said, it takes practice to get an understanding of where you need to release the left click to snap it into place. And that just comes with time and practice and visuals, right? Look at the visuals. You know, sometimes when you see it, the shape, see how the shape changed like that where it became wider? That tells me that if I release the left click, it's going to snap it most likely on the top of the workspace like that. And that's definitely not, you know, how you want to use your dome. So now you have to snap it back out. See how the shape changed? Now, I don't know if you can actually see that on the screen, the shape changing, but when you use the software, you'll have an understanding of what I'm referring to. Now, if I want to snap it back in, see now it changed. There's like a subtle change in the shape there. If I left click, now I can snap it back in. Going back to the top here, you have show times and sales. Just basically times and sales of the transactions that are coming in real time, timestamp, transaction type, price, how many contracts. You can disable or enable by clicking the button here. You can link the book to the active chart. So if I select this option, whatever chart that I click, as I'm doing now, it's going to automatically fill in the data for that symbol based on the chart that I click. Make this a little wider. All right, that's the link book to active chart option. All right, and then you have show extended book. I'm a fan of this option. Let me show you what it looks like when you turn it off. It just basically kind of gives you a more smaller, condensed depth of market. I like the extended book. I like being able to see more prices. And then you have show or hide spread. So show or hide spread is this little gap here, right in the middle. So it kind of gives you a visual separation of the bid price and the offer price. So bid price being right now is kind of bouncing around between 41.5 and 41.75. If for any reason you don't want that gap, just go ahead and click this button, show or hide spread there. All right, I personally like it. Just gives you a nice visual of what the bid and the offer is versus me looking here. All right, so now let's show you how to play some trades on the dome. So you can see here on the left side in the volume section, this is what we call the depth of market. This is how many contracts are working at this price level, typically limit orders. You have 10 levels deep on each side, 10 levels on the bid side, 10 levels on the offer side. You have your price column down the middle, and then you have two columns. You have red arrows pointing down, which represent the sell column. Then you have blue arrows pointing up, which represent the buy column. Okay, so when you want to place a sell order, you're going to be clicking in the red column with the arrows pointing down. And when you want to place a buy order, you're going to be clicking in the blue column with the arrows pointing up. At the bottom, you have the ability to set your stop loss and take profit OCO order, as I demonstrated earlier with the order ticket window, and then how many contracts that you wish to buy or sell here. Okay, you can just use the up and down arrows or just type in the value, whichever is easier for you. Then at the bottom, you have your sell button. You have close. Close is basically flatten or close out the position at the current market price. And then you have buy, which is a working order to buy contracts, or better yet, buy at the market order, sorry. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure you set the amount of contracts that you wish to buy or sell, which is just by either using the up and down arrows here or just type in the value. And I'm just going to go ahead and just demonstrate a quick short here by selling at the market price. I sold one contract at 89.43.5. This is actually a mini NASDAQ. Let's close this position out and let's change this to maybe S&P contract instead. One thing you can do, you can also take the symbol from the market watch and you can just drag and drop onto the dome to change the symbol too, which is very nice. Same thing with the charts. So you can just drag and drop off the market watch onto your charts. Let's make this chart full size for now so we have a better visual of everything. All right, so let's go ahead and place a market order here. One contract just by hitting the buy button. Now you can see I'm long from 31.19.25. All right, if I hit this close button, it's going to close out the position at the current market price. All right, let's get back into a position. Let's go short this time. And now let's show you how to place some pending orders. So I have a short position right now at this moment at 31.19.25. So let's just say, for example, I want to place a buy stop to protect my short as well as a buy limit order to get myself out of the position at a profit if the market moves in my favor. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that we click in the proper column first because we're short. We want to make sure that we place a buy order to offset the short position, right? So if I'm going to place a buy stop order, let's go ahead and place a buy stop at 3121.25. So we're going to make sure we identify the price level of 3121.25, and you'll see this blue arrow pointing up. And you can see when you hover your mouse cursor over the button, it gives you a little tooltip and telling you exactly what you're going to do if you click that button. So you can see buy stop for one contract, EPZ19 at 3121.25. So if I left click, you can see now that I have a buy stop working at that price. And you can see visually on the dome as well that the order is working. Now I want to go down here and place a buy limit as well. So we'll do the 2-point limit order at 3117.25. So we're going to locate that price level. We found it. Always make a habit of taking a look at the tooltip, in regards to what you're about to do. And so this is 17.5 actually. So 17.25. All right. So market's kind of moving around, but we'll go ahead and click it there. And there we go. So there's our buy limit. There's our buy stop. Now, what I've just done is I placed a position. I got into a short position, right? And then I went in and placed a buy stop and buy limit after the fact that I entered the position. So there's no OCO factor here. No order cancels other. So if I get stopped out, this buy limit is going to remain working. Just keep that in mind. The demonstration that I just made is not an OCO strategy. All right, but it is a true limit order. So I'm only going to get filled at this price or better at 3117.25 because I placed the limit order in the demonstration that I just made by actually clicking on the dome itself to place the order. I didn't use the stop loss and take profit OCO down here, which I explained earlier. The take profit's an MIT order, to market order, so it's not a true limit order. Now, to modify the orders, you can just left click. If you notice, when I hover the mouse cursor over the working order, you can see that it's a double-sided arrow. Now I can left click and I can drag and drop to modify the order. So drag and drop to modify the order. To cancel the order, you want to hold down your shift key on your keyboard. It's a little different than traditional domes, but if you notice right here, look at the little arrow here. When I hit the shift key on my keyboard, notice that there's an X that appears on the working orders. You have to hold down your shift key on your keyboard in order for you to activate the cancellation button. So watch, if I release the shift right now, notice that that X goes away. So that's on, off, on, off. And that's just me clicking the shift button on my keyboard. So in order for me to keep the X displayed, I have to hold down the shift and then left click on the X to cancel out the order. All right, so that's how you place orders off the dome. Recap: to place the order, identify what action type you want to make. Do you want to place a sell order or do you want to place a buy order? Sell order being the red arrows pointing down, this column here to place sell orders. Buy orders with the blue arrows pointing up to place buy orders. And then just make sure you identify the price level where you want to place the order. So if I want to place a sell stop at 31.18, for example, you can see that. Always take a look at that little tooltip there that's telling you exactly what you're about to do, because that's going to let you know when you click that order is going to be placed. All right, and again, to modify the order, to left click, drag and drop. So holding down the left click, move the order to the amended price that you want to move to, and then release the left click. And then to cancel out the order, hold down your shift key on your keyboard to see the X here. All right, so this is a sell order, so of course the X is going to appear in the sell column. All right, so now I can hit that X, and order is now canceled out. So it's very easy to use the dome. A lot of times customers will use the dome simply because of the depth of market values that you see here. And here's an example of using the OCO stop loss and take profit order type or strategy, that is, for a position that you want to get into. So now one thing that's important that I want to mention is when you enter the OCO profit values on the dome at the bottom here, because earlier when I demonstrated placing trades off the order ticket as I've done here, you were able just to select the price, as you can see, right? See how it's actual price? But when you do it off the dome, it's a little different, all right? It's not price. In that case, you can see a value of 25. That means one tick on the mini S&P 500. In the futures, when you trade exchange-traded futures, every market has different tick increments, all right? So the mini S&P, for example, moves in quarter increments. For every one tick, it's 0.25. So you can see that it's evident by the price in the middle here. You can see that 3120.50, 3120.75, 3121. You can kind of see the quarter increments, right? So if it's 25, that's one tick. Okay, so the reason why I'm bringing this up, because if you're not familiar with the way this works, the most common thing, I even made this mistake when I first started using the software, so I want to be able to provide this information to help avoid you making this mistake. Sometimes customers will be like, okay, you know what, I want an 8-tick stop. So they'll put 8 as the value, just like that. And, you know, that makes sense, but that's actually not 8 ticks. That's going to be 8 points, right? So, or that's the way it's going to work. So if you actually want 8 ticks, it's got to look like this. It's going to look like this instead, which is actually 2 points. So the decimal is missing. The 2.00 is not displayed at the bottom. So what I would recommend doing at first to get an understanding of how the tick increment is going to work when setting the bracket order OCO strategy on the dome, use the up and down arrows for now, just in the beginning, just so you have an understanding of how it's going to be displayed when setting the values for the bracket order. Because the one thing you don't want to do is just say, hey, 8 ticks, but you're actually doing 8 points. Because this is, if you really wanted 8 points is going to look like this. Pretty much like that, right? It's going to say 800. So if you do want an 8-tick stop loss, it should be 200, which is going to be 2 points. So again, I repeat, I would recommend using the up and down arrows until you know visually, you know, what you need to type in there, what's going to provide you the proper values. And what I mean by different markets have different tick increments, you can see quarter increments on the mini S&P, but watch, if I switch to a different market, let's just go with crude oil, for example. I'm going to add crude oil here. So this is an exchange traded futures crude oil product that trades on the New York Mercantile Exchange. And this market moves in pennies basically, right? Just single ticks. See that? See the difference there? How it just, now it's moving in single tick increments. And that's what I mean. Mini Dow is another one, just moves in single tick increments. Let me just add one more, just because this is pretty important in my opinion. Here's a mini Russell contract. Mini Russell moves in dimes. So watch, if you move, oh, you know what? Let's see. So that one's displayed different. So I guess that dimes being 0.10, 0.20. Let's try gold, for example. Let's do gold. GCE. I don't know if we're still trading December. All right, so that one's also single. So sometimes it just depends on the market that you're trading, but I recommend using the up and down arrows when setting the profit values and stop loss at the bottom, so you can see that the quarter. So here's an example of me setting it to 2 points, also known as 8 ticks. Now if I get into the position, let me close out this trade first. And there you go. So now you can see that I'm in a long position from 31.21, but there's my take profit up there at 31.23. There's my stop loss at 31.19. Okay, so again, now this is an OCO strategy. Look at the difference in display also. Earlier when I placed orders, watch this. If I do a sell stop down here, this is a regular sell stop that I'm about to place right now. And this is a regular sell limit. Notice the difference in display. You could see that when you're using an OCO strategy, you could see that there's a yellow display for the OCO legs in the take profit and stop loss. But if I place a regular sell stop and regular sell limit, you can see that the display is different. You can see it's just a regular sell stop 1, sell limit 1, and also where the orders are displayed as well within your toolbox window is different as well. So that's a true limit order and that's a stop order, but it's below the balance section here. It's not integrated here. As you can see, 31.19 and 23, that's the OCO strategy. All right, so if I were to hit this close button, it's going to close the position out and it's going to cancel the working orders that were a part of the OCO strategy, but it does not cancel out the regular limit order and sell stop that I placed outside of the OCO strategy. So that's important to know as well. So I'm going to just demonstrate that one more time. I don't mean to keep repeating these things, but these are pretty important things because, you know, if you make these mistakes, they can end up costing you money. So I'm going to go ahead and just do it one more time. If I use an OCO strategy and get into a position, you see I'm long, there's the OCO strategy. right? If I hit close, this will close out the position at the current market price, and at the same time, it'll cancel out the OCO stop loss and take profit order because it's part of the order itself. It's pretty much a combined strategy. So now we're completely out of everything, right? But if I get into a position without using, let's say, OCO strategy, so I'm setting these values to 0, all right, I go long, and then I go and place, let's say, a manual sell limit and sell stop, right? This is no longer an OCO strategy, but if I hit close, look at that. Positions are still, the working orders are still there, but the position's closed out, okay? So just make sure you remember that, because now you're going to have to go back and cancel out this sell stop and sell limit if you're going to do it in the manner that I just demonstrated. All right, so now I'm going to go and cancel out the orders as I've done there. All right, and that's pretty much how you place trades on the depth of market. And we're going to go ahead and move on to the last two segments here. We're going to show you how to place trades off the chart, and then show you how to use the charts. And then the last thing we'll demonstrate is how to download some of the indicators from the code base, and we'll go ahead and wrap it up. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close out this dome for now, so we have a full-size chart. And as I mentioned earlier, you can change the symbol on the chart itself just by dragging the symbols onto the chart. So if I wanted to add, let's say, this crude oil chart, I can just drag it onto the chart. But let's go back to the mini S&P 500. Okay, so to place trades off the chart is, and also one thing you'll see when you place orders, you'll start to see a lot of these historical orders that are displayed on the chart. This sometimes can get a little cluttered, especially if you're scalping. If you're doing a lot of trades, you'll start to see too many of these on the chart. If you don't want that, just go to Tools here, Options. Click on the Trade tab here, and just uncheck Show Real-Time History of Deals on Chart. Now, the reason why those are there, because I had that function enabled when I placed trades, but moving forward, it's not going to place the orders on the chart anymore. I personally don't like it, because if you're placing a lot of trades, you're going to see a bunch of these little arrows on the chart, and it sometimes just makes things look a little messy. Now, there's a couple things you want to do here is you can show the trade panel on the top left corner of the chart here. This kind of give you the traditional Forex view of placing orders, where you have the bid and the offer price, 31.20 quarter by 20 half. You have the sell button, buy button. These are market orders. All right, and then you have how many contracts you want to buy or sell. All right, so that's pretty straightforward. So basically, to place a market order on the chart trader, you got to activate this little chart trade panel up here, and just either hit the sell button to place a sell market order. Okay, so now I'm short one from 31.20 and a quarter, and then I could also hit the buy button to buy it back. Now I'm flat. Those are market orders. Change the quantity, pretty self-explanatory. Just adjust the amount of contracts that you wish to buy or sell. And that's pretty much how you place market orders. Now, to place a working order, let's say like a sell stop or a limit order or a stop order, for example, what you're going to want to do is right-click on the chart on the price level of where you want to place the order at. So what I would recommend doing if you're going to use a chart trader is activating right here, this crosshair, because sometimes it may not be so obvious on where you're clicking in terms of the price level on the chart. So if I click here, crosshair, now it gives you an understanding of where your mouse cursor hovered on the chart itself. All right, now, of course, on the mini S&P 500, there's no such thing as 3117.65, as you can see on the right side of the chart. So what it's going to do, it's going to round it off to the nearest tick. All right, so in this case, it will be 3117. I believe that's going to be 75. Let's see here. Yes, 3117.75. So it'll round it off to the nearest tick based on the price level where your mouse cursor is hovered. All right, so the crosshair is going to give you a nice indication, easily visual display of where you're going to be placing that order. So let's just say, for example, if I want to place a buy limit at 3117 even, make sure you identify the price level of 3117 on the chart, right-click with your mouse on that price level, and now you're going to have the option, if you go here, trading, within the context menu, you can either place a buy limit or a sell stop. Now, the only reason why it's giving you those two order types is because at that price level, based on where the market's trading at right now, 3117 is currently below the current price level right now. And you can only place certain orders on certain sides of the market. So, for example, a buy limit, if the market price, or if where you're placing the order is below the market price, the only order types that can be placed at that price level would be a buy limit and a sell stop. And that's the reason why it's only showing you buy limit and sell stop. It's impossible to place, for example, a sell limit below the current market price. Because if you do that, well, MetaTrader 5 won't even give you the option, which is good because if you did that, it's going to fill you immediately at the market price, which is not a good thing. You're either going to prematurely get yourself into a position, or even worse, prematurely get yourself out of a position, right? But the great thing about MetaTrader 5, it's going to prevent you from doing that because it doesn't give you that option as a whole. So it's only going to give you valid order types for you to place. So in this case, I'm going to place a buy limit at 31.17. You can see a visual representation of the order itself on the chart at 31.17, and you can also see down here the buy limit order working at 31.17 as well. Okay, so that's how you place the order on the chart. Again, right click. I recommend activating the crosshair. Locate the price level on the chart first. Once you've identified that, right click with your mouse and then choose the appropriate order type. So in this case, sell stop, or better yet, sell limit. All right, now once the order is placed, to modify the order, very similar to the DOM that I demonstrated earlier, it's just basically a drag and drop. So I can left click. What you're looking for is your mouse cursor to turn into a double-sided arrow. And now I can left click and drag and drop the order to modify it. As you can see, I'm doing here. All right, and then to cancel out the order, you can just right click on the order itself and you can delete it. All right, and that's how you apply working orders onto the chart, how you modify them by drag and drop, and how you cancel out the orders. Now, one thing that you can't do with the chart trader is you're not going to be able to preset, from the chart trader itself at least, preset the stop loss and profit target if you want to use an OCO order. So let's just say what you're going to have to do is place the order first. So here, I'll place an order. Then you can right click on it and go to modify. Okay, once you do that, now you can set your stop loss. So let's just say 31, if I'm working a price of 31.17.50 to go long, then I'll go ahead and just place the stop at 31.15.5, and then we'll do 31.19.5 on the take profit. All right, so now I can modify it, and now notice you can see now the stop loss and take profit is ready to go. So once this buy limit order gets filled at 31.17.50, my stop loss and take profit is going to be there now. All right, and then notice down here, every time I'm placing trades, every time I get into a position, the toolbox window, your trade tab, the first tab is really where you're going to be able to see everything that's going on with your account in regards to positions, working orders, how much you're making or losing on the trade. But from this window, also you can do a lot of things. You can right click on the itemized line here, and you can modify or delete the order. Deleting the order basically means that you're going to close or cancel out the working order, close the position. But in this case, you can just use this little X down here at the right. You can just hit this X to cancel out the order as well. I find it easier to do it that way, as I've just done. All right, and that's pretty much how you place orders off the chart. It's pretty straightforward, not very complex, very easy to use, just like we've demonstrated with the order ticket and the depth market. And that's pretty much the 3 different ways that you can place trades using MetaTrader 5, as we demonstrated all different methods. It's really up to you which method you decide to use. It's all based on personal preference. Let's move on to how to use the charts. It's very easy to use as well. So what I'm going to do here is I have a habit of going to Windows and selecting tile windows because I always have multiple charts open within my workspace. But what you can do is you can always organize them any way you wish. So there's different ways that you can organize them. You can cascade them in this manner. You can tile them horizontally. That's just not really an ideal view for myself. You can tile them vertically. All right, you can just arrange them. I personally like tile windows because it seems to always properly scale and arrange the windows so they're properly displayed, as you can see. Now, if you do have a multi-monitor setup and you want to be able to move some of these charts over to a different screen, by default, these charts are not, they're docked, right? So what that means is, see how I'm trying to move the chart out of the workspace, but I can't do it? I'm trying to move it onto a different monitor right now, but it's not allowing me to. So in order for me to move it onto a different monitor, I have to detach the chart. And how I do that is right click on the chart and just make sure you click on this dock button. Now you can see that the window, I can actually maximize the chart so it's full screen. But if I redock it, that's full screen. So you see there's a difference in display there. But again, if you want to be able to move the chart onto a different monitor screen, just right click on the chart and undock it. And now you can move it on. See, I can move it outside the workspace. I'm bringing it back in, and that's docked. This is undocked. This is docked. Okay. Now to create a new chart, there's a couple ways of doing it. You can select a symbol within your market watch. Me personally, I find this is the easiest way to do it. So let's pick a symbol that we don't have a chart created for. Right now, we don't have a chart created for the January crude oil contract that trades on the New York Mercantile Exchange. So if I right click on it, I can select chart window. And now I have a new chart created for the, let's see where it goes. There it is right there, as you can see here. All right. Now, another thing as well, you don't necessarily always have to have your charts viewed in this manner, how I'm having it right now, because maybe you want to have a full-size chart like this, right? So whenever you create a chart, you'll notice here on the bottom of the chart, there's these tabs. So these are all the charts that you have created within your workspace right now. Okay, so you can tab now, tab the tab. When you make a chart full screen, as I just did, you can tab the tab. And you can organize the order of appearance of the tabs. I can move it left, right, however way I want to move it. It's up to you. But the main thing is understanding that these tabs exist and they're at the bottom of the chart. All right, if I go back to window, tile windows, watch what happens. If I remove let's remove the continuous mini S&P contract chart down here in the bottom right corner. Keep an eye here on this tab. Watch what happens when I remove the chart. This tab goes away. You see how it goes away? So now we only have 6 charts now. Okay, so whenever you have a chart open in your workspace, it'll be displayed here at the bottom. All right, so let's blow this chart back up. That's how you create a chart. Now, if you right click on the chart, you'll have some menus within the context menu itself. This is the option to place trades, as I just demonstrated a moment ago. You can open up a depth of market. There's 2 ways of doing it. You can either go here within the context menu, or you can just click this depth of market button here. All right, so it's kind of like an on and off switch. Or right click depth of market, whichever is easier for you. All right, then you have 3 chart types. You have bar chart, candlestick, and line chart. So right now we're using a candlestick chart. That's what a bar chart looks like. That's what a line chart looks like. So this is really, a lot of this is self-explanatory. It's just more about where you need to go to find these items, and it's just right-clicking on the chart. And then within the context menu, just choosing what you want. So time frames, for example, you can see 1 minute, 5 minute. If you want to see everything, just go to minutes, hours, and then you have daily, weekly, monthly. And it's just as simple as just choosing the appropriate resolution that you want to use. So there's a 15-minute chart. Let's go back to a candlestick. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of these functions are accessible from the toolbar too. So you don't necessarily have to use the right click, go to bar chart, for example. You can just click up here, click candlestick. All right. Now to make changes to your chart, like maybe you're not a fan of the way the charts are set up right now at this moment, right click on the chart and go to properties. And then this is what the properties menu will look like. And then you'll see that you have different options. So again, you can, now the one thing that I really like about MetaTrader 5 that I don't really see in most trading platforms is you have a preview display function, right? So if whenever you're about to make a change on the chart, so you can see that by default, it's showing me this is what my chart currently looks like at this very moment. If I go to colors, for example, and let's just say, okay, you know what? I'm interested to see maybe what a gray background looks like, right? So I can choose gray as the background color, dark gray, as you can see, and it gives me a display preview of what the chart's going to look like if I decide to make that change, right? So that's really cool because, no problem, Bern. Thanks for attending. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. So you can see here, I can, before I make any changes or before I actually apply the changes, what I would recommend doing is going in there, kind of playing around with all the settings and colors and see what you like here in this little preview section, make the changes. And then once you make the changes, I'll just use this as an example. Once you're happy with the look of how it looks here, then go ahead and click OK. And now you're going to see the change has been made. All right, so that's the reason why I like that function is because it saves you time, because maybe perhaps you make a change, if this feature did not exist and you made a change that you did not like, then now you got to go back and reverse all those changes, which is going to take more time. So you have the ability to kind of play around with the different color schemes, choose different settings, parameters, what you want to show, what you don't want. Like here's, for example, if I uncheck show grid, that's what it's going to look like. All right, but I haven't made the change yet. You can see my chart behind it still has a grid. Okay, now I like the way it looks. Click OK. All right, so again, right click, go to properties, click on each one of these tabs, make the changes and kind of use this as a measurement of what the chart is going to look like. If you're happy with the changes, go ahead and proceed and click OK. Now, if you want to make templates on the chart, obviously it's not very efficient if you have to make these changes for every single chart within your MetaTrader 5 workspace. I've seen customers have as many as 20 to 30 charts. You don't want to go into each chart and make these changes. So what I would recommend doing is take one chart, make the change. Once you're satisfied with the changes and the way that chart is laid out, then right click on the chart, go here to templates, and then select Save Template. And then just call that template whatever you want. I'm just going to call it AMP, for example. Hit Save. Now I can go to another chart, for example, this one, and I don't have to go in there and make all the changes manually. I can just right click on the chart, go to templates, and I can just select the AMP template that I created, and now you can see that the changes have been immediately applied. All right, so that's going to save you a lot of time, and I highly recommend it if you have different chart setups for different markets that you trade, or just different preferences for however way that you want to build it out. You can build as many templates as you wish. All right, and so now what I'm going to do is let's go back let's use a regular color chart here. And that's pretty much how you use the charts here in regards to making changes to the properties. It's really easy. The one thing I like about MetaTrader 5 is really just user-friendly, ease of use. Everything in the platform to me is very obvious. When you go into colors, for example, it's very obvious where you need to go to change the background of the background color of the chart. Very obvious how to change the up and down colors of the candles, things like that. So the main thing is understanding where to go. Again, right click and go to properties. And that's pretty much how you use the charts. Again, it's a very straightforward function of the software. There's really not a whole lot to it. And just the main thing is understanding the basic mechanics of how to use the charts themselves. And last thing, guys, we're going to wrap up. The one thing I wanted to show is that I feel is a pretty cool tool is, as I mentioned earlier, MetaTrader 5 has a huge community of traders that interact with one another. There's a lot of developers and programmers out there that develop free indicators and scripts and expert advisors that you can download whenever you want. And you can access these tools from within the toolbox window, and you can go here to either market. If I select market here, you can see that I have all the available indicators and EAs and scripts that are developed by programmers. Some of them are free. Some of them do have a cost, as you can see, 30 USD and so forth. If you click on each one of these, whatever symbol that you're interested in or indicator that you're interested in downloading, it'll give you a description of what that is. I'll give you a rating system. It'll tell you who the publisher is. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate on the market because a lot of these, they do cost money. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and demonstrate how to download a simple indicator from the code base. All right, so the code base is here. You can see here. And this is pretty active. You can see the date. In fact, there was a couple of them already loaded, or since yesterday. Within the last week, there's already been 2 or 3 loaded. And you'll notice that when you're looking at the code base, a lot of these things are loaded on a daily basis, which is really cool. So you can see, for example, let's just pick something that's very basic. Let's see, the Sudoku, right? Classic Sudoku puzzle, right, in MetaTrader chart. I'm not sure. Let's see, RMA MACD. Let's go with that one. So what I'll do is I'll highlight it, and I'll right-click, and then you can go view. If you select view, what that actually does is it's going to bring up the RMA MACD indicator that you have highlighted in the code base. It'll populate it off the MQL5 website, and it'll actually show you information about the indicator. It'll give you a description and definition of the indicator. It'll tell you who published the indicator. This is actually what it looks like when I click view. Just kind of as an example. You can see that there's votes. 70 people voted on it. Over 5,300 people viewed it. It's got about 4-star rating. You can see the publisher. There's the name right there, for example. So that's just kind of more just FYI, if you want to read into it and see what people, other people, individuals who have used the indicator, sometimes they'll leave comments so you can read the comments of that user. But the main thing is understanding how to get it into your platform. So it's plug and play pretty much. When you right click on the indicator, you'll go to download and just select download. And watch, it's actually downloading the indicator into the platform. It's pulling it into the software. As I mentioned, plug and play. A lot of times with other platforms, when you get an indicator, you have to import the file into MetaTrader 5, or not MetaTrader 5, into the software. And so it's more of a, more of a process to get the indicator into the software, where in this case, everything's kind of packaged and built into MetaTrader 5 for you. So all I had to do was right click and go to download. You can see that I downloaded the indicator now, and all I need to do is hit yes. And now I can set the parameters for the indicators, and I can click OK. All right, so that's the indicator that I just downloaded from the code base. And that's pretty much how you use the code base. Is you click the code base tab here at the bottom, and just make sure that you locate whichever code base indicator that you wish to use, and then just go ahead and right click on it and download. All right. Now, another thing is, I did, since I'm on the topic of the code base, one thing I did forget to mention, and Alexander did remind me, I'm not sure about Renko indicators, but I can definitely show you, Alex, where to go to add indicators. Now, I don't think, from my understanding, we can double check. Renko indicators, I believe, is not an indicator by default that's available within MetaTrader 5. Let's check the list here. I don't think Renko is listed. Renko, let's see here. Nope, not there. Oscillator is probably not as well. So if you're looking for Renko, you'll find that with MetaTrader 5, the default indicators, meaning right out of the box when you open MetaTrader 5, there may or may not be things that you need or that you want that are available within the default list of indicators, right? But let's just say in your case, Alexander, if you're looking for Renko, you can go in to the marketplace and you can search for Renko, right? So if I go into market as I'm doing now, I can type in Renko, and anything Renko related, if I search it, look at that, you have a bunch of options. So you have free Renko chart. You can go in there and just download whatever you want. It's pretty cool because once you download it, it pulls right into the software, just as I demonstrated just a moment ago. All right, so by default, from what I remember, Renko is not indicated or listed in the default list of indicators. So you're going to have to go into the marketplace and search for a Renko indicator. Let's see, code base. Maybe there might be within the code base. I don't know if there is. You might have to just do a Control F to find it. I'm not finding it at this moment. But you can see if you just use that marketplace, you can find Renko indicators, and there's a bunch of them there. All right, but now I do want to show you, since I did forget to show you how to add basic indicators and drawing tools. Let's go ahead and wrap up with that, since I did not mention that. So that's going to be accessible from, the indicators are going to be accessible from your navigator window here. So if, let's say, for example, if you don't have a navigator window open, just make sure you go to View and then Navigator. Just collapse the indicator section down here. And at this point, just make sure you choose the appropriate indicator that you wish to use. So if I want to do trend, Bollinger Bands, for example, highlight Bollinger Bands and just left click and drag and drop onto the chart and just set your parameters and click OK. And now the indicator is added onto the chart. To remove the indicator, just right click on the indicator and just delete indicator, or you can go to properties and actually modify and make changes to the indicator. So if you go right click and then delete indicator, here's another example. This is the RMA MACD that I just downloaded from the code base. So this is actually not a indicator that comes with MetaTrader 5. It's a third-party indicator that was developed by a programmer. All right, and that's how you add indicators. Again, from the navigator section, select indicators, select whichever category group that you wish to use, and then just drag and drop the indicator onto the chart. Set your parameters however way that you wish to have them, and click OK. And now the indicator is added onto the chart. Right click, delete indicator to remove it. And then last but not least, the drawing tools. If you go to Insert up here at the top and go to Objects, objects are considered drawing tools. Just like any drawing tool function in most trading platforms, you're going to select the specific drawing tool that you wish to use. There's a handful of them, whether it's a line drawing tool, channels, you have fibs, Fibonacci's, for example. So if I go Fibonacci retracement, I can select it. Your mouse cursor is going to turn into the drawing tool cursor icon. So in this case, it's no longer a regular arrow anymore. Now you're going to left click and just draw the trend line or the Fibonacci's. Now this is a pretty good example because by default, for some odd reason, maybe because, I don't know, maybe because the chart background by default was black before we built out the pre-built workspace. But that's very hard to see that those yellow Fibonacci lines, right? So what you're probably going to want to do is right click on the indicator itself, or the drawing tool, sorry, and just go to object list, and then you can go to properties, and you could probably change the colors of the indicator from within the property section. So maybe I want to make that red, it's a little more noticeable. So now you can see the levels. All right, so a little tricky sometimes to get to click to select the drawing tool. You have to right click exactly precisely on the line of the drawing tool itself to get this property menu. Otherwise, you'll get this property menu if you're not on it. So you can see there, I'm not on it, but watch if I go there. So again, I'm not on it, but there you go. Now I'm on it. So now I can delete the drawing tool. So now I go to, again, that's tools, or better, insert, objects, and then I can scroll down and select any of the drawing tools that I wish to use. And then once you've selected that drawing tool, just simply apply it onto the chart. And this pretty much wraps up, guys, the introduction to the MetaTrader 5 all-in-one trading account with AMP Global. I know it was a bit long. I know the webinar was about an hour. This was the first one, so I kind of wanted to maybe take, just kind of give you a little more information than expected. But in most cases, moving forward, it'll probably be generally an hour. But we definitely appreciate you coming out and taking the time to watch the presentation. We hope you enjoyed the content. If you have any questions, feel free to fire them off in the chat. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and end out the webinar. We'll leave it open for another couple minutes here. If Colin needs to add anything in the chat there, or if anybody wants to ask questions, feel free to fire away. But again, thank you very much for your valuable time. Andreas, from my understanding, yes, it should work because MetaTrader 5 and MetaTrader 4 are two different executable installation files. So you should be able to run 4 and 5 both on your computer. A common question that we do get, though, is will MetaTrader 5 indicators or MetaTrader 4 indicators work with MetaTrader 5? The answer to that question, from my understanding, is no, since the language is slightly different. So you would have to find a programmer to help you convert your MetaTrader 4 indicators to work with MetaTrader 5. So it's not a plug and play where MT4 scripts, EAs, and indicators are going to work automatically for MT5. That will not be the case. Thank you, Andreas. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Sure, no problem. So if by default, the Renko is not going to be listed in the indicators that come with the software by default. So you're going to have to go ahead and do a little homework and digging around to find the Renko indicator. My first recommendation would be going into the market tab within the toolbox window here. So if for any reason you don't have this toolbox window, you're wondering where is this toolbox window? Here, I'll close it. If you go to view, select toolbox, and then select the market tab down here at the bottom. All right, so I would recommend kind of maybe resizing it so it's a little bigger. And then on the top right corner, you'll see a search section. So by default, it's blank. When it's blank like this, it's just basically going to show you all the most recent items that have been added into the marketplace. But then I can go ahead and just type in Renko, for example, like this. And then you'll see anything Renko related will populate. So now you can choose whichever option, like Renko chart, for example. You can click on it and you can hit the download button here to download it, and it's going to download it right into the software, just how I demonstrated earlier. So a lot of times there's questions, how do I pull up volume profile, for example, things like that, or TPO profile charts. So this is really cool. I think from my experience, MetaTrader 5 is the only platform that I've seen that gives you the ability to search, like have a marketplace built into the software. So when you download items, it kind of pulls it into the software automatically, and it's just automatic import. And that's really cool because some platforms, like I said, you got to get the file from wherever you bought that indicator from, and then you got to know how to import that file into the software. So there's a process to it, where MetaTrader 5 kind of made it a seamless process to get these third-party indicators and tools right into the software, and they built the marketplace into the software itself. So here's an example. If I search like TPO profile charts, for example, so if I just type in TPO, these are all the TPO related items. There's Blautek, for example, a very popular one, and a few others that you can see. All right, guys, if there's maybe a couple more minutes here, if there's no other further questions, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. I'll give it a couple more minutes here. Yeah, so I don't see anybody typing in the chat window, so it looks like we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. And again, I want to thank everybody that attended the webinar. Again, I hope you enjoy the content. And if you have any questions, never hesitate to contact our support team. You can email us at support@ampglobal.com. And if you haven't already tried a demo out, I highly recommend it. Again, go to www.ampglobal.com. On the top right corner of the homepage, you'll see Open Demo Account. And just click on Open Demo Account, and you can sign up for a demo. And that's pretty much it. You'll be well on your way in testing out the MetaTrader 5 all-in-one trading platform. Thanks again for your time, guys. Have yourself a great day, and happy trading.